Coming up, we're back into the inbox and we speak to developer Patrick Burton on the challenges of building apps today.
You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Priest.
Hey guys, welcome along to Thursday's episode of Double Tap. Shaun Priest, everyone's still talking about WWDC. That's all I'm hearing about. Social media is just going, oh, isn't it amazing? Isn't it great? I've downloaded all the betas. It's the best thing ever. All right, calm down.
Well, yeah, it seems like social media isn't the only ones just talking about WWDC. What's the matter with you, Stephen? Let it go now. Just let it settle.
No.
Okay, sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. All right, no, keep ranting on about it. Any more? Has your attitude changed? I mean, you were a bit, nah, it's all liquid glass, it's all visual, and then you were, oh no, it's all lovely. What are you thinking today?
I haven't really got as far as installing the betas yet, because I'm going through the whole process of, you know what I'm like, everything just takes forever. Everything just takes forever. Because I have to rethink everything. And I'm like, well, if I bring this machine onto the desk,
rewire the studio.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Pull the whole studio apart just to accommodate it. So, you know, nothing's happened yet. It'll be September by the time I get around to it.
Can I just say?
No.
Vision Pro, we didn't really get into a lot. And I think there was something mentioned there that people just sort of dismissed, right?
Ooh.
Now, yes, Vision Pro, I've got not a lot of interest in. But from a technical point of view, they mentioned that you can now pin things, right? So pin a browser in your living room on the wall, pin the Netflix somewhere else. But you can then turn off and restart the Vision Pro. And when you turn it on again, it will still be there. It will remember exactly where those windows were placed. Do you know how hard that is? From a technical point of view, that was quite frankly amazing. I was blown away by that. That is really, really difficult to do. How are they doing it? How do they get the positioning to do that?
Are you asking me?
Yes, I am. Just to make you uncomfortable.
They have some kind of digital glue.
But look, it might as well be. It's magic. That is so clever how they're doing it. And when you think about it, setting up, it's almost virtual desktops, right? You can set up a workplace. Now, I'm not saying the Vision Pro is the ideal, work productivity device. I honestly don't know. I have no idea. But I'm just saying that feature alone, just from a technical point of view, that was amazing. That is cool.
I think with the features they're adding in, especially a lot of the new accessibility features like the zoom through pass-through feature, which is where you can use Zoom in real life. So you can zoom into something. I think that's amazing. Actually, on that point about sticking windows to various parts of your room, you could even, for example, there was one example given, which I thought was kind of cool. You have these panoramic images, right, where you have these huge, expansive images. You can actually place that almost in a window on your wall. So you could create a window in a room that you'd be able to peer through and actually have a look at this amazing expanse outside. And as you're inside the room, it's kind of moving with you as you move around the room. It blows me away, the capability of that, how it can do all this.
Oh, magic. That's what it is.
Do you know what? Do you know what? I will tell you, if they bring out Vision Air, a lighter and less expensive version of this thing, it's going to take off big time. I think that is it. It's getting itself ready, I feel, for a launch of something. Because why put all this effort into a device that still costs $3,500, that is still very much... And there was a lot of talk about enterprise, and I get that. There's going to be a lot of business going to be interested in this, healthcare. I think they were talking about the automotive industry.
Think so. Sorry, I was rolling my eyes at the amount of enterprise that are using the Vision. Are they really?
I think well, there's certainly more enterprise using it than consumers are.
I think there's more developers that have them than anyone else, just trying to get ahead of the game on it. But I
did see a brilliant image, clearly done by ChatGPT or maybe even Image Playground, which was it said, this is the plane of everyone who's going to WWDC, and it was a plane full of people sitting with Vision Pro headsets on. So yeah, that probably is right. Actually, just a bunch of people doing it. But I think. It's so close to getting a serious adoption, but they have to bring the price down and they have to make the device lighter. They have to make it more comfortable to wear for longer periods. And the other thing that they talked about, we didn't talk about it so much, was gaming. And look, for years, Apple has always been the platform that gamers just laugh at.
Yes.
The idea that you would play games on a Mac.
Still do, yes.
And yeah, it still feels that way. Even the way they described it, they said, "Oh, there's more titles coming soon and more things." I remember hearing this 10, 15 years ago. Nothing's really changed in this area, right? The Mac it's always been the place where you get a few games, but never loads.
Tuned out when they mentioned the game app.
Well, look, from our point of view, of course, right? I mean, there's not a lot in there for us.
No, not necessarily from our point of view at all. I mean, Dice World is incredibly popular in our world, right? But I mean, from a true gamers, it's always been PC first.
But why? Can I ask, why is that, right? What is the thing? Because is it that the hardware on the Mac isn't capable? Or is it just that there's such an ecosystem built around PCs and consoles? Is it a hardware limitation? Is that what the issue's been?
Apple will not work with NVIDIA, and NVIDIA are the leader by a clear mile when it comes to graphics on Windows, on the PCs. So that may have had an impact, I suppose. But I honestly don't know how well they mentioned Metal 4, the latest version of their graphics API. I don't know how well that works for games. I have absolutely no idea. But
so they need to adopt, so the gamers or the game companies then have to adopt that into their game.
Yeah, and I just don't think the market, I mean, maybe unfairly, but for the longest time, the entire history of Apple, it's never been about gaming, right? So,
well, certainly not on the Mac, because there's always been more PCs out there than Macs. Mac is still very much
that's true.
Creative. It's not really a device that's for the mainstream workplace.
When GTA 6 is released, if it has Mac support, then they've cracked it. If it doesn't, then it's still Macs aren't for gaming. Who knows? Because
it just feels like the hardware's there for it, right? It's like they've got all this processing power, amazing GPUs, all this stuff. I mean, clearly it might not be as good as what NVIDIA are creating, but I don't know. Maybe it is. It's just everyone always says, "Oh, you don't game on a Mac," and then they just dismiss it. But I'm like, but why? If you think about every other app which seems to be performing really well and outperforming video editors, audio editors, they all outperform on a Mac. Why is it then that gaming doesn't outperform on a Mac? I don't get it.
Why is it that there's some Mac-only apps that are never released to Windows? Is it because the difference in compiling or even coding, the structure maybe, is so different between the two? And maybe games, it's $1 billion industry. Maybe they just put their resources where the
money is.
Return is, which is Windows.
Yeah, because they know they're going to get the return on that. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get huge return if you're going to focus on Mac only.
Yeah.
I remember the days of Doom, Carmageddon. You could get things like that on the Mac. I loved Carmageddon.
Was Carmageddon on the Mac?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I had it on my Power Macintosh back in the day.
Oh, very cool.
Pretty cool. And with Doom, and I'm trying to think, Duke Nukem, that was the other one. 3D. Duke Nukem 3D.
Duke Nukem 3D. Oh, I used to play that.
Yeah.
Heretic. Oh,
yeah,
all
that's
of
right,
those. Yeah. Okay, stop nostalgizing. Let's move on.
I think Carmageddon was like the original Grand Theft Auto. We're very close to it.
It's the first 3D game, and the car used to get damaged, didn't it, and fall to bits. And
that's right.
Yeah, it was very cool, actually. I was terrible at it, like I am with all games.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But it was fun. Okay, look, let's move on.
Email. We get email. We get your email every day.
Ding dong.
Here's your mail today.
Ding dong. All right, how was that? Was that okay?
That was okay. No, it was fine. It was fine.
All right, thanks. You know what? I feel incredibly nervous about doing that now. I've lost all my oosh confidence.
Is that because you get in trouble from Dean in New Zealand?
Yeah, I don't. It's put me off. I'm just nervous. I'm tense. I'm sorry.
That's a shame. I feel bad. What have you done to him, Dean?
We may have to get a replacement oosher on.
Oh, I don't think that's possible, Shaun. You are the original oosher.
If anyone wants to send in their ooshes, feedback at doubletaponair.com. There, you got to deal with that now, Steve.
Thanks for that. Yeah, please WhatsApp all your ooshes to us.
No. Feedback at double.
Oh yeah, because you deal with WhatsApp and I deal with email, right? Okay, got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Speaking of which, let's get into those. And we'll have a voice message here from Louise talking about that wireless label printer we had Shaun Randall on talking about and espousing good things about recently.
Hi, Double Tappers. It's Louise coming in from the UK. Just wanted to chime in on the labelling that we were talking about last week. based on the recommendation, I also went and purchased the Nelkoo 220 printer, and it arrived this evening, and I've been having a little bit of a play with it. What I have found is that the iPhone app overall isn't very accessible at all. You can get into different templates, but I haven't managed to find a way of getting into the field where you can edit the text in the template using VoiceOver on an iPhone. I don't know if anyone else has had any breakthroughs with this. However, one thing that I did find, which I just wanted to let everybody know about, was there is on the home screen of that app a section that says AI printing. And if you double tap on that, you've got a number of different options. And then the final option is speech recognition. And basically what that does is if you double tap on that, you get an edit box that you can either type in, or there's a click to speak button. And if you tap on that, you could say what you want to print. So you could do either of those things. So basically you can dictate and then it will print. But what it will do is it doesn't just print it straight away. It will then take you to like the template screen that you can see a lot of the information, but you just can't easily edit the text. So it's just, if anybody has an iPhone and wants to try printing labels, I was able to print a label that I created using the AI printing and the speech recognition. Although I think I tended to type it as opposed to say what I wanted it to say, but you've got that option there. So I just wanted to pass that on. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you, Louise. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'm sorry you've been having issues with it. And I have to be honest, I have had too. I've had some issues with that printer. Especially from the app point of view. I mean,
the app is terrible. I'm sorry,
the
Shaun.
app is rubbish.
The app is terrible.
Yeah, it is. And you know, Shaun was waxing lyrical about this little printer, and I don't want to put it all on him because he doesn't own the company. But he came on, he recommended it, and it was a good little printer. I managed to get it working with Windows, but that was as far as I really got with it. And I ended up. I'll tell you how much I loved it. I gave it to Shaun.
I did, yeah. I was all for it. Oh, I'll try this out because it's a great form factor. I mean, the hardware itself, 2 buttons on the top, I managed to figure it out. Hold one down and it beeps. So that must be for pairing, right? The other button is for paper advance, so it feeds through a label. Very easy, very cool. And I downloaded the app, and it was just, from a VoiceOver point of view, just awful. And that was the only way I found to print as well, Louise. I found the AI and the voice dictation print, or whatever it was, and I was able to use it that way. I could copy and paste text into that edit box as well. But yeah, I thought, you know what, maybe if I spend some more time in that app, I'll figure it out, because there's a lot of information in there, but some of the, as Louise said, some of the fields and buttons just don't seem to do anything. So I've given up with it, to be honest. I am now looking for a label printer that is AirPrint compatible. I just want something that shows up when you hit print on the iPhone itself. It just shows up in the list. With this one, is it Nelkoo? The Nelkoo printer, you've got to do it all through the app. And sorry, the app I spent a good hour in it. I couldn't get much work done with it.
Yeah, and I know Greg Hayes had tried it as well. He bought one. He ended up sending his back. He just couldn't get to grips with it. I think if you've got some sighted help around, it's great if you can get some sighted help. I think without sighted help, I almost feel we need a new category of product when we review things. If you need some sighted help with it, we should put it into a category like that. And that's not to do anything down about it, but I think it's just there are products that sometimes you just need initial help setting up. Sometimes you might need some help to do something with, and then go from there. I think beyond that, if it's something that if you're like you and I, Shaun, we don't really have any sighted help around unless it's Be My Eyes or Aira or things like that. Without that
I just
help,
don't want to use sighted help anyway. I should be able to figure it out. Look, I'm not expecting, straight out of the box, I can do it straight away. I'm quite prepared to put the time in figuring it out, as I did with putting the labels in it and working out what the buttons were. I'll just press and hold and see what happens. But I'm sorry, I just don't think the app itself, I don't think there's anything you can do with it. I've tried screen recognition and things like that.
And also, maybe at the time it was accessible or more accessible, and it's changed, and that would not surprise me at all. How many times have we talked about the accidental accessibility? Sometimes it just becomes accessible. Wow, it's amazing, and then it's gone.
Don't update Just Eat. here in the UK.
Oh, yeah,
at
I was
least.
hearing about this. Yeah.
Yes, please do not update it because it doesn't speak any of the menu out for
That's
some
helpful.
reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, so skip that one. Yeah, but I'm going to look for a link because that would be really useful, an address printer, to be honest. So I am going to look and see if there's a AirPrint compatible one. How did you get on with Windows? Was it all accessible then, yeah?
Well, I mean, you didn't have to do anything other than once you installed the driver, you could just pick the printer. And what I liked about it was you didn't have to format it in any way. You could just go into Notepad or anything and you just print straight to it.
Do you know what? That's
just
quite
select
cool
as a
in
printer. And I
itself.
like that. That's what I really liked.
Yeah, the printer is
I-
cheap. The labels are cheap, and actually, yeah, I quite like that.
And I think for the printing a label, like an address label, like a returns label for Amazon or something like that,
Yeah,
that would be, there's a bigger version, which has the kind of 6x4, almost like
Yes.
photo size
yes.
printer. And that, I think, was more appealing. But
Mm-hmm.
because my fingers were burned on the first one, I thought, I don't know if I want to do this again.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just...
Well, look,
it's-
Shaun said he managed to work with it, and he recommended it. I honestly, I don't think I would.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think so. Well done for persevering with it, though, Louise. Let's hear from TJ.
Hello, Stephen and Shaun. First time listener to the Double Tap podcast. My wife Allison's been listening for a long time. She's maybe even made an appearance or two on your show.
Oh, yes.
But anyway, really enjoyed the interview with Aira CEO. Just listened to it this morning. I was attracted to Aira for its visual interpreting from the human standpoint. Originally, when I first learned of the service several years ago, as a professional who needs visual assistance for various parts of my job, the way that they approach it and the way that I can connect and have, natural conversations with human experience, it's just very efficient and works quite well. And I'm amazed every day at the number of things that they can see through an iPhone camera. But I'm glad that their goal is to kind of leverage the best of both worlds, because I'm also seeing some of the benefits of AI in my job. I've been an AI skeptic, but I do know that it has benefits, great efficiency benefits for me in some of the aspects of the research that I do and things for my job. And so I'm glad that Aira is goal is attempting to leverage the pros of both worlds so that we can have AI if we want to use it, or the human narration if we want to use it. I'm glad that the human visual interpreting is not going away. I'm glad they're keeping that. That's very important. So great interview. Keep up the good work, fellas, and I look forward to hearing what else you got in the future.
Well, hopefully more for you. Thank you, TJ. I appreciate it.
Welcome to
hello
the show,
Alison as
TJ.
well. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, of course, look, the big selling point with Aira is the human agents. They do an amazing job, and it's because of the software that they're able to use as well. The extra tools that they have at their side, at their fingertips, such as your location, pulling up maps, pulling up user manuals and things like that. It is a very, very good service.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to Tom finally for the moment. And he wants to suggest that we need some bolo in our lives.
Uh-oh.
Hello, guys. This is Tom in Colorado again. I was listening to your segment today reviewing Google I/O and all of the AI stuff that's coming out there, and had a thought about some language that's evolving, or I think a struggle with language is probably more important, in that we have the hardest time trying to describe that bit having to do with getting the AI to be looking for things for us proactively, I think is the term that Shaun was using today. And that's a good word for it and helps make more sense. But I was thinking what we're really doing is asking the AI to be on the lookout. And maybe I watch too many police procedurals, especially in the United States, that use the term BOLO for that. And that might be a good shorthand for us to say we're asking the AI to be on the lookout, or we give the AI a bolo. Anyway, might be a swing and a miss, but just a thought.
Be on the lookout. Bolo. That's our new phrase. Goes with FOMO.
I'm taking
YOLO.
that. That was out of the park. That wasn't a miss. That was fantastic. Yeah, of course. That makes total sense. Be on the lookout.
Yeah.
I was using Gemini just the other day, going through a stack of T-shirts. You know, I didn't know if they were mine or other family members. And even using Gemini, I said I'd use Gemini instead of Be My AI. It's faster. I'd have to take a picture. But still, every time, hold it up. Okay, and what's this T-shirt? Okay, and what's this T-shirt? It was, even then I was getting annoyed with it. You know,
Yeah.
I just want to say, right, go through these T-shirts, and every time I hold one up, just tell me. Bolo. Yeah, perfect.
I don't like the way you say it, but I think
Bolo.
Bolo. I don't like that at all. That's
Excuse me, I
terrible.
don't say it like that at all.
You
How
do.
dare
That's
you?
exactly how it sounds to me.
Bolo.
Bolo. Don't
Right.
like that at all.
Bolo.
I knew you're from London. Okay.
Unbelievable.
Thank you for that, guys. I appreciate the feedback, as always. Coming up next, we are going to...
I'm not talking to you. Your accent. You have a go
Thank
at
you.
me.
Up next, moving on, we're going to hear from a developer who is going to tell us his story of developing some apps out there. You will have heard of Benvision and Speakaboo. If you haven't heard about them, you'll learn about those, and also the challenges that are faced by developers in this ever subscribing based world that we live in. We'll hear from Patrick Burton next here on the show.
This is Double Tap. We'll be right back.
Thanks to our friends at Hable, Double Tap listeners get 15% off the Hable One and Hable Easy, but only for a limited time. The Hable One makes navigating your phone faster, easier, and more private with a tactile braille keyboard that fits in your pocket. It's perfect for writing texts, using apps, and keeping your phone tucked away with a full month of battery life. Or go with the Hable Easy, the simple remote for people who don't want to mess with complicated gestures. Big, clearly labeled buttons make it easy to do the basics, open apps, send messages, and use voice commands. No steep learning curve, no frustration, just tech that works. Get your 15% discount now at doubletaponair.com/Hable.
This is Double Tap. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. Now we're going to talk to Patrick Burton. I had a chance to catch up with Patrick a few weeks ago and understood more about the work that he's doing as a developer, the challenges he faces, and what he's hoping to achieve with Benvision and Speakaboo.
Thanks for having me on, Stephen. I heard you guys on back in November, and I was just thinking like, oh, these guys are hilarious. I gotta hit them up for a chat sometime.
Well, I apologize my co-host isn't here with me today because, but you know, the reason for that is because we actually want to hear from you as opposed to me and him arguing about everything else. So we thought we'd give you a chance to actually talk. Patrick, tell everyone about Benvision.
Sure thing, Stephen. So Benvision, we were founded in 2023, and our story actually began at MIT. We were a hackathon project. We were at MIT. I founded this project with like a group of strangers. The hackathon had a like virtual reality, augmented reality focus, and we wanted to do something that would speak to a community that wasn't being served by this technology. And we figured like, oh, virtual reality, augmented reality, it's all very visual centric. Let's try to build something that would appeal to somebody who doesn't have sight. Let's give a blind person a reason to put on a headset or put on a pair of AR glasses. What's fun is that like we were just trying to build something that would be enjoyable, something that that somebody would an experience that would compel someone to put on a headset. But so what we came up with was we had a musician on our team, and kind of just thought, why don't we try pairing music to different objects? AI was, I mean, it still is, but AI was a very hot new thing. So we were trying to use like object recognition and thinking like, okay, yeah, what if every object had like a musical tone? And like maybe that could, using spatial audio, if every object was making its own music, then that would be like an enjoyable experience for someone. But we had a mentor at MIT who was low vision himself, and he told us like, this is cool and this is novel, but like you could actually maybe try to use this for navigation. And so that became kind of our focus, was to use these musical cues to help people spatially locate themselves and get around from place to place. So we actually won the inclusion track from that hackathon, and that excited us so much that we wanted to continue the project, and we became a startup. So that's sort of our genesis
amazing.
story.
Thank you. That's incredible. And it sounds like a really good advice you got there as well, because I can see where you're thinking. And I wonder when it comes to development of these kind of projects, when you're sitting down, coming up with an idea, especially at a hackathon, there must be a feeling sometimes that every idea has been done in some form or another. When it comes to accessibility, do you find, and we kind of put this under this category, I guess, of accessibility, does it look to you more like an open field where there's more opportunity, where development can happen, innovation can happen?
Yeah, well, the longer I stay in this industry, the more I do start to feel like, oh man, everything's been done. But we did do some market research, and what we had found at the very beginning was that like there are a lot of like smart glass-esque solutions that are geared toward helping blind and low vision people, but a lot of them are based on speech, and they give verbal directions. And what we kind of realized through this is after the hackathon now, after we ran a couple of focus groups and actually tested with the community, was that there's actually, I mean, speech is great, but there's a lot of advantages that come from using nonverbal cues as well. In that, like, you can kind of take in a lot more information all at once. Imagine, I don't know if you have kids. I don't have kids, but I know some kids or people who have kids, and it's very difficult to have like more than one conversation going at the same time.
Yes. I can imagine. I don't have kids either, but I imagine that's very true. I struggle in my own house, and there are only two of us here. So what does that tell you?
Yeah. So we actually, during our very first focus group, two of our beta testers, they were both using our prototype, and they were talking to each other about the experience while they were using it. And then one of them said, "Oh my God, I can have a conversation while I'm using this." And that was sort of a moment that I realized, like, oh, like we're actually onto something. This is actually pretty novel. And then it was just such a serendipity that we were working with a musician, because we realized that like not only can you take in all of this information at once, but you can actually make it a very pleasant experience by using something like music.
Yes, talk me through this then, because this is where the novel part comes in. And, you're right, of course, there are lots of apps out there that can help with, navigation. But I myself find there can just be an overload of information. Cognitive load is a big issue in our community that, it comes from so much information coming at you. If I am wearing my smart glasses as I am today, my Meta Ray-Bans, and, I've got my voiceover screen reader talking to me via my phone. I've often had, and I know friends of mine who do this, they have Blind Square running, which is giving them information verbally with points of interest, Soundscape running with points of interest. You've got maybe Apple Maps giving you the full guidance. That's talking as well. You've got about 5 or 6 voices on the go, all giving you different information, and you're trying to understand all this and not be hit by a bus all at the same time. It's a lot. So, if we can reduce that, but still give us the pertinent information for navigation, then I think that's a great idea. And the music part is really interesting. So how does that work?
So Ben has two basic ways that it works. And Ben is the name of that app. It's short for the Binaural Experience Navigator. And there's two basic modes. One is machine learning based, which was the prototype we built at the hackathon, where it does object recognition, and it anchors music to objects based on their object category. But then what we realized is that to make it actually useful for navigation, we actually have to give a lot more specific about the location that somebody's in. And so there's a second mode that uses something called VPS, or visual positioning, where we go in and we create a digital twin, a 3D scan of a space, and the app then anchors to that digital twin using the phone's camera, and then we've pre-placed musical waypoints around that space. So there would be one like at the entrance and the exit and the bathroom door, and important pieces of furniture, stuff like that. And then our audio director comes in and composes, takes in like what is the space that she's composing for? Is it like a lounge, or is it like a medical office or something? And designs those waypoints around the space. And then her process is that she actually composes the soundscape all together before breaking up the different sounds, the different pieces of the sounds, into individual waypoint cues.
You're talking about indoor navigation there, right?
Yeah, it primarily indoor is what we've been testing, although there's no reason it couldn't work outdoors as well.
Yeah, because I mean, outdoor is well covered by so many apps, but indoor isn't. And that is, again, where this novel idea comes really into fruition, right? And it makes it more attractive to us because, I mean, again, there are many times we go indoors, we've all been there, Patrick. You're trying to navigate through a building, and you've got no sense as to where you are. There's no one around to help. There could be a shopping mall. You just want to get to one store. All these things, all these challenges that we face that apps could potentially solve. So I'm guessing with all of this, you're holding the phone out all the time to see the surroundings.
Yeah, right now that's the best we've got, but we're trying to work. We've been trying to get in contact with Meta. They wouldn't talk to us. I think they were looking for somebody a little bit more established. But we've been trying to talk to different smart glass manufacturers, and we are in conversation with smart glass manufacturers because we know that the future of this tech is going to be wearables. Because I obviously, like, you probably have one of your hands is holding a white cane or a guide dog or anything else that you might want to be holding, and then if we're taking up your other hand, that that takes away a different not only your ability to hold things but also your ability to reach out and grab things. So or
endless
feel
problem.
things.
We've had this for so many years. Yeah, this has been an endless issue. But you say it could translate to outdoors, because in some ways that would be quite pleasant as well, wouldn't it? To be able to travel outdoors with that musical environment. How would it work? Would it work in the same way, or would you employ the GPS at that point because you have obviously more tools outdoors?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's something that we've been exploring different options. We certainly could use GPS information. There's platforms like Niantic Lightship, which is Niantic's the company that makes Pokemon Go, and they've pretty much created a digital twin of the entire world. And Google has done something similar with their geospatial API, I think. So these scans do already exist, and we certainly could go in that direction. If we
just to pick up on that, because that's quite interesting, right? And I must admit that's not an area I've even considered. Does that give you, because I think for a lot of us when we travel outdoors especially, there is what we call the last 10-yard problem. Yes. So you find a building, you can't find the door to get in. Does what you're talking about, does that enable that last 10-yard problem to be solved, or does it get you closer to the answer to that?
Yeah, it should. We haven't tested it, but that's definitely something that like, yes, you would be able to anchor. I, I think it's the problem is more that, like, where would we start? But because we're a startup and we have limited resources. But what you're saying, yes, it would solve the 10-yard, or I've heard 5-meter problem, but it's the same thing. That
yes, metric or imperial, yeah, you choose.
Yeah.
Okay, so your focus is on indoors right now and making it a more pleasant experience. So give me examples of where users have been telling you they've been using this, where you recommend people use it.
Yeah. So to be completely honest, we're still in beta, and we're piloting right now at the charity for the blind where I volunteer. It's called the Whole Foundation and Learning Center for the Blind, and the project's moving a little bit slower than I want it to, because in order to build a solution like this, we really need a lot of resources, and fundraising has been tough. So we are working. We're trying to get some, like, grants, and trying to get this thing up and running in one location first, where Whole Foundation, they run these incredible retreats and workshops, and they bring blind people from all over the states. And so, like, we're trying to hit those, like, those high volume locations. But it's moving slowly. And that's kind of that's kind of where Speakaboo comes in. That we've had to kind of rethink, like, okay, let's say we're not able to raise the funds that we need to build this solution. Then, like, what's plan B? How can we still bring a solution like this, using spatial audio and music, to the blind community? Because we didn't want to be stopped by our finances. And so
tell us about Speakaboo then, because this is one I've had a lot of excitement about.
Oh, thank you. So Speakaboo is a fun story, because we initially built it as a companion app to Ben, but it sort of took on a life of its own, and it may end up saving Ben in the long run. But so we built it. The initial idea was, like, yeah, music is great and nonverbal cues are great, and they're going to be very, very helpful. But we can't deny that there are some scenarios where it's going to make more sense to get a spoken description. If you're trying to read a sign, if you're trying to read something in front of you, if you just want to know as quickly as possible what do you have in your immediate surroundings. And so we knew that there was this feature where you can get an AI generated description of what your camera sees. But we did some market research, and we were thinking, like, why are so many other developers making it so difficult? Sometimes you have to, like, dig through an endless list of menu items, or you have to wait several seconds to a minute to get your description, or you have to get a description first before you can start asking questions about it or interacting with it. And we just thought, like, we can make this a little bit easier. So Speakaboo has one button, or it has two buttons now, but one main button, and two basic ways that you interact with it. You assuming you're using VoiceOver, you double tap to get a quick description, or you tap and hold to ask a question about what your camera's seeing. And that was the basic idea behind it, was that we just wanted to make it as simple and as quick as possible, because nobody else was doing that. We put it on the App Store, not really expecting much, because again, this was just supposed to be like the answer to the question, like, what about the times that you need speech? But the response from the community has been astonishing. And So while we are still working on Ben, and it's undergoing several iterations and rounds of we're continuing to focus group test with it. But because it's so difficult to build, Speakaboo has been our way to reach the community faster and more directly, somewhat ironically.
And well, yes, and oftentimes, sometimes the idea that actually hits the ground running, the hit, doesn't necessarily come from the obvious place. You might build, like you say, you built this app thinking it would be a companion, and suddenly it's become the driver for everything. And it may be that is the app that really is the one you want to focus all your time and effort on. So, you can kind of understand why that happens, right? Some companies, they have to say, well, we've tried this, didn't really work out, it's too difficult to do, too much to put together. Let's just park it and actually focus on this. This is certainly gaining a lot of traction in the community. And is that simplistic approach that we want, right? Because you're absolutely right. You go into an app and there are times you have to take an image first. So that means opening up the app, opening up the camera, or doing whatever, taking the picture, waiting for the response. And all you want to know, for example, is perhaps, is this letter for me? And I raised that an example, but in particular, because that's what I've heard a lot of people saying. They can ask, is this parcel that's arrived, is it for me? Around the holidays, goodness me, you do not want to be opening the wrong parcel.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that's exactly the problem that we're trying to solve with Speakaboo. We had a great suggestion from a user on AppleVis to create a shortcut that allows you to not only open the app but get a quick description all in one gesture. And so we created that shortcut as quickly as we could, and that's actually been a very popular feature. And it's really, really great to see that that Speakaboo is being used to kind of solve that problem of getting quick information.
I guess from the feedback you get, you'll get all kinds of feedback, I imagine, because as soon as you bring something into the world like this, you get 8 million people saying, hey, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want it to be able to do this. Can it make me a cup of tea in the morning? All this stuff that you want it to do. And it's great. But, you obviously have to limit that to some degree. You can't do everything. But there is, I imagine, a little bit of consistency in the feedback. There are things that people will want to do on a fairly regular basis, like check mail. That's something someone might want to do. They may want to check the directions, or cooking directions on a frozen food packet or something. There are certain consistencies that will exist. Does that make it easier to program? Does it give you a sense of, okay, this is coming up a lot, let's focus on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really what we have to do. We have to be extremely discerning about the suggestions that we get, because we don't want to turn into the problem that we saw in our competitors, that there's just too many options. We don't want to create more overload. So the challenge has been for us, how do we take the great suggestions that we've gotten, the ones that we've gotten most often, or that the community has been most vocal about? How do we take those suggestions and integrate them so that the UI stays minimal and quick and easy to use? But yeah, you're absolutely right that we kind of have to wade through what we actually have been doing is we've created a notebook. We use Notebook LM. If you've heard of that, that's Google's platform that Google, I think it started as a research platform, but we consolidate all of the feedback that we get from users, and Notebook LM helps us kind of pick out what are the common threads here. Not only what's being most commonly suggested, but maybe like why, what's the root problem that people are trying to get at when they're making these suggestions. So that's been really helpful.
Yeah, Notebook LM, for those that don't know, it's quite a cool tool, isn't it? Because essentially it turns your notes into a podcast, in essence, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's also been really helpful in a lot of different facets of my life. Just there's something about like hearing two people talk casually about something that really turns my brain on in a way that just reading about it or hearing one person talk about it doesn't. Uh,
How it must be really difficult to be a startup in this age, because there are so many things out there, so many startups, so many companies, so many products, so many apps, so many of everything. How do you keep it going? How do you get the energy to get up every day and say, let's forge ahead with this? And I imagine not making a huge amount of money along the way.
no, unfortunately not. Maybe that'll change one day. I
Yeah.
wish I had a good answer for you, man. You're right. It's difficult, and it is a struggle, to keep going. Like if I can be like very candid and honest about it, like it's really demoralizing sometimes to look at how much how fast paced everything is and just like feeling like you can't keep up. Um, but one thing I will say is that like I'm really grateful that I've gotten to work with the whole Foundation Learning Center for the Blind, one of our first partners, because I can see firsthand and speak face to face with the people who are benefiting from the products that we're making, and that does help. And seeing like if somebody comments on Apple Viz or something, and tells us how much utility they get out of the app, and sometimes we've gotten some comments back like specifically about like the ease of use and the just some people like really get it, and that does make it easier. Um, but yeah, it like you said, like the startup world, in especially with the evolution of artificial intelligence, and there's just so much innovation, which is great. Like competition is good and innovation is good, but trying to be in that pool and keep your head above water is not easy.
Yeah. I mean, I think about it from your point of view of those who say things like, I'm going to create an app. So my 8-year-old son has been, dabbling on ChatGPT and, playing with this particular code and managed to get the app developed. And great, we've now got a son who can develop apps at 8 years old. Fantastic. Let's farm them out. And, it's interesting because I've had this conversation with a few people. And the one thing I always say is, yes, that's great if the son can develop an app at the age of 8. But is that app going to be accessible? And is it going to conform to all the relevant guidelines? Is it going to be updated regularly? There's more to creating an app than creating an app, isn't there? That's the point.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot going into it. And this is
Yeah.
actually a conversation I'm having to have with my co-founder on on VidiScribe, which we haven't talked about yet. But it started as a side project that we had created another product, and then that started to gain some traction as well, and now we're having to contend with like what do we do, because we don't have the resources to keep it going. We don't want to take this away from the community, but we also it's just we're getting stretched really thin here, and it's
And when you say resources, do you mean financial resources, or do you just mean people power, physically able to keep up with the work?
yeah, both financial resources as well as energy and time, and yeah, like there luckily we have a really great team supporting us in Benvision, but everybody, it's been like 2 years that we've been fundraising, and we've all at different points we've all committed to working on this full time, but then we've had to go back to some of us have had to get part-time jobs and full-time jobs so that we can continue to financially support ourselves. And yeah, so it gets really complicated.
I mean, I see a lot of apps nowadays, a lot of app developers, and I guess CEOs, making decisions that involve subscription models for apps, because it's frankly the only way they can bring in the money to keep the app going, to support it. Is that something you consider?
Yeah. Actually, Speakaboo, we just launched Speakaboo Premium about a month ago, early December. And that was we didn't want to do that. We wanted our business model to be business to business, but the community, after talking with the community, they said, like, we'll pay for these features, and I was like, oh, okay, then maybe we
can. But
that
surprises developers, doesn't it? That surprises people when you say that, because I think there's often a sense, and I don't know if you've felt this to some degree at any point, Patrick, but I think a lot of people fear asking disabled people to pay, because it doesn't feel right to some people to ask for us to pay. But the truth is, if we want something, well, we'll pay for it if we want it, if it's good. And you're clearly getting the feedback to say, hey, this is a great app, we'll pay for it.
Yeah, and that's been really encouraging to see that, and we're eternally grateful for that.
So where can we get your apps right now? Is it all on iPhone?
No. So they're all on different platforms, I guess. So Speakaboo is on the App Store for iOS. And you can download that now. You can search Speakaboo. You can search blind AI. It's one of the first results that comes up. And so Speakaboo is on the App Store. Ben is currently, it's in beta. We had an open beta for a little bit, but we had to close it back up because the software that we were building on top of was it was either too expensive or not reliable enough, and we didn't want people to get hurt. So Ben is back in a closed beta, but you can visit our website, ben.vision, and sign up for the closed beta of Ben. It might take a little bit to get access because we're still working through all of the kinks. VidiScribe, which is a platform that we built on the side to audio describe videos. That's a web app, so you can go to VidiScribe.com, and it's just a very simple drag and drop platform. You can take any video, drag it on there, and get it spit back out at you, completely audio described. And that's just VidiScribe.com.
That's one. That skipped me by, that one. Okay, so right, VidiScribe. Tell us more about this, because I didn't realize this at first. So this is this is kind of a new functionality of the AI, isn't it? That it's allowing you to be able to look at video and be able to insert the descriptions. I guess, and I've seen this done in other ways, where it's essentially pausing the video, inserting a voice with the description, and then continuing the video. What is the goal with that? To just enable that for people? Because I imagine it's not a cheap thing to do from your end.
Yeah. So VidiScribe, it came from my background is actually in videography. I used to be a professional videographer, and I've used that to make videos for Benvision and for the whole foundation and learning center. And but since I've been working in accessibility, I've wanted all of my videos to be accessible for the blind community in particular, and I realized that it's quite a process, especially if you're not thinking about it from the start. It's a process to add audio descriptions in, because you gotta come up with descriptions of all the action, then record a voiceover or have somebody record a voiceover, and then edit the video to make sure that it's not overlapping with any dialogue. And at the time that we built this, there were no other solutions that really did this well. And now some others have popped up. I saw that Seeing AI has a feature, and a couple other players in this space, they have video description features now. But at the time, we built this for the Google Gemini API developer competition, which is kind of a mouthful, but we thought that they were offering some prize money, and we thought that this is a good opportunity to build something novel and maybe get some financial support in return that we could use to keep the project going. And that's exactly what happened. We actually took home the best web app title, which came with some prize money that we've been using to keep the servers running. But when we put this out to the world, it got so popular. Actually, after this call, I have to work with my co-founder Aditya to bring the servers back online, because people are using it so much.
Too popular.
Yeah, it keeps on breaking, but it's a good problem to have, though. And so so the idea was to create a solution that at the time it hadn't existed. It's good to see that there's other people thinking about it now, and that there are other solutions out there. Because like I sort of alluded to before, like we're stretched very thin, and we don't know how much longer we're going to be able to. It's not going to be sustainable forever unless something changes.
Yeah, it's interesting in this new world of competition, where actually when you see the competition, there's almost a sense of relief, because you feel if you did have to take the foot off the gas, at least then you know that the service will continue in some way for other people. So, there are alternatives out there, which is good. If you're the only game in town, that becomes a problem because everyone relies on you. It's an interesting place to be. It's a good place to be, but it can be, as you say, quite demoralizing as well. Very interesting to talk to you, Patrick. I really appreciate you coming on to Double Tap today.
Absolutely, it's an honor to be here, and elated to finally have a chance to meet you, Stephen.
Really interesting chat with Patrick. Shaun, I know you've probably got a lot you want to pick up on that, but we don't have time.
We don't.
We will, though, be back tomorrow, and we will be getting back into your emails and catching up. So we'll catch you then. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.